You probably grew up hearing, it's not whether you win or lose, it's how you play the game. But do you believe it? I've played soccer most of my life, long enough to understand its international nickname, the beautiful game. My favorite setting is an informal one, a pickup soccer game where anyone can just show up and play. Soccer is practically a religion in most of the world, so these games could be the most diverse gatherings in the country. I love both the cooperative and the competitive aspects of soccer, and at its best there's a balance between the two. But over the years I've started to notice places where competition and cooperation are out of balance in our society. We compete for grades and college admissions, jobs, promotions, social status, even for love. I started to wonder how big a toll competition takes on us.
We compete because our whole society is framed on this, is grounded on the idea that it's not enough to be good, we have to be better than. We are unhappily in a workplace or a classroom where the only way I can succeed is if you don't.
In the US, we're taught to compete from an early age. It's a stew we're stirred in from the start, where just about everything has been turned into a contest. From professional sports to reality shows, from political campaigns to our global economy.
The management of every business has a continuing problem to improve their product to stay ahead of competition, or else.
Many of us have to worry that we'll be fired if we don't surpass our coworkers. Competition can make us more productive and innovative, but according to many studies, that's often not the case.
The research overwhelmingly shows, and surprisingly shows, that competition not only is not required for excellence, typically its absence is required. The more that a given task requires ingenuity and creativity and problem solving, the more competition typically holds people back from doing their best work.
I often hear that competition is just human nature. It's part of natural selection and the survival of the fittest. But a growing number of evolutionary biologists, such as Robert Trivers, believe that cooperation has played an equally important role through a mixture of kinship, reciprocity, and mutualism.
Competition gives the greatest good to the greatest number by continually producing more and better goods at lower prices. The business which fails to give the consumer as much value as a competitor gives often goes bankrupt.
Most economists would agree that competition offers an efficient way to set prices, allocate resources, and ensure that supply meets demand.
That's how markets work. That's what Smith described. So that's the benefit. That's the good news.
Yet it also leads to wasteful marketing, environmental and safety negligence, lower wages, and exploitation of poorer countries.
There have to be some moral foundations that limit competition. Labor unions, minimum wage laws, environmental protection laws. We have to think about ways of restraining it such that the competition is civilized and fair.
As I looked more deeply at competition, I discovered some inspiring alternatives. A movement towards cooperative learning has been gathering momentum in schools. Instead of being asked to compete with one another, students are asked to work together. One person's success depends on another's. It's called positive interdependence. David and Roger Johnson at the University of Minnesota looked at hundreds of studies conducted over the past 90 years and found overwhelming evidence that cooperative learning resulted in higher levels of reasoning and more effective problem solving. Not to mention the kids had higher self-esteem.
In that competitive workplace, the workers try to rise on the ladder in the hierarchy of the business.
There's an ongoing international movement to form worker-owned cooperatives, thriving businesses in which there is no hierarchy.
When we're a true collective and we all basically get paid the same except for seniority, there's really nowhere to jump to.
In a more competitive environment, you've really got one or two people making decisions about who they think has potential, who they're going to allow to learn new things, who they're going to give more responsibility to, who's going to get a raise. Here, we make those decisions together.
There are alternatives to competitive games as well. These games don't require that some people lose for others to win.
Games were defined as necessarily competitive, and yet it's easy to change games so that they're inclusive. And one of the first games that I restructured was musical chairs. So 20 kids, one winner. It was a simple restructuring of the game where everyone has to be a part of the remaining chairs. That's the essential feature. You're not rejecting people, you're not putting people down, you're freeing everyone to have a good time, and the outcome is based on working together.
In Myanmar, they play a non-competitive game known as Chinlone, which is similar to the Japanese game Kimari and some of our modern footbag games. It sure doesn't take competition to inspire mastery.
Competition.
Competition does have its place, but often it separates us when we could be drawing on each other's strengths and natural interdependence. Imagine a political debate where instead of tearing apart each other's ideas, the candidates use their combined knowledge and leadership to solve problems. Imagine students working together, scientists sharing ideas, artists sharing materials, knowing the difference between winning and succeeding. The word compete from Latin literally means to strive together. In the end, I'm going to keep playing pickup soccer as long as I am able. But I'll remember why I'm there and enjoy the miracle and grace of the human body, moving, refining, mastering, dancing, assisting, striving together.